I feel like I've just been caught red-handed. Hello everyone and welcome back. For those of you who are new, my name is Tatiana and I'm an art historian bringing you fast and fresh content about art around the world. I'm all about making art accessible, so if you enjoy watching this video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel for videos with similar content. So today we are back in Rome and I want to talk to you about a painting called The Toilet of Bathsheba, also sometimes known as the Bath of Bathsheba, painted by an artist called Jacopo Zucchi. Alright, let's get started. Welcome to the Barberini Palace, where this relatively unknown painting is housed. The palace itself is absolutely beautiful. It is a 17th century building that was originally built as the Grand Palace of the Barberini family, a family of the Italian nobility. Today the palace houses the Galleria Nazionale d'Arte Antica, which is the main national collection of older paintings in Rome. It exhibits a permanent collection of art, including paintings by Raphael and Caravaggio, as well as more temporary exhibitions, so it's well worth a visit. Fun fact, keep a watchful eye out for bees. You're going to see a lot of very large bees dotted around the exterior and the interior of the palace. That's because bees were the symbol of the Barberini family. Everyone at the time would have understood the meaning of the bees. Okay, enough about the palace. Let's go and talk about the star of today's show. The Toilet of Bathsheba is an oil-on-panel painting. In 1925, it was attributed to the Florentine painter Jacopo Zucchi based on stylistic comparisons to Zucchi's other paintings. This painting was executed in the 16th century, sometime after 1573. So what does this painting show? What is its narrative, its subject matter? This painting depicts the biblical story of David and Bathsheba, which is recounted in the Old Testament, in the second book of Samuel, chapter 11. So for the full account of the story, always go directly to the primary source. King David one day notices and spies on the beautiful Bathsheba taking a bath from the roof of his palace. David is entranced by her beauty, and despite her being married to one of his generals called Uriah, he summons her to his palace, they sleep together, and she ends up pregnant. So David arranges for Uriah to be killed in battle so that he can then live happily ever after with Bathsheba. But he is later punished for doing so with the death of his first child, his first son. His next son with Bathsheba was Solomon, who eventually became the next king, King Solomon. This painting depicts the beginning of the narrative, the scene in which David spies on the bathing Bathsheba. You can see David in the top left corner, who is looking down on the scene from the roof of his palace, peeking out from two columns. The balustrade of the palace actually acts as a barrier, which separates David from the rest of the main scene. Much like us, he is an observer and not a participator of what's going on in the foreground of the painting. Now, Bathsheba is the largest of all the figures. She's depicted closest to the picture plane and she takes up the most space, thus denoting her as the most important subject of the painting, the protagonist, the object and subject of David's lustful gaze. Bathsheba is shown completely nude, apart from a translucent veil and a slightly thicker fabric which snakes its way around her thighs. These two pieces of fabric actually accentuate her nudity. You may think that they have been painted to add a hint of modesty, but I think, on the contrary, they draw attention to the rest of Bathsheba's exposed skin. Bathsheba is seated on a throne and she's surrounded by four servants, her four ladies in waiting. There is a figure to her left who approaches with a tray of vessels, what might be perfume or oil vessels. Another figure to the right of Bathsheba hands her one of such vessels. Her servants are very much clothed. And again, that serves as a way to accentuate Bathsheba's nudity. Their clothes almost act like an antidote to Bathsheba's nakedness, therefore making it stand out more. Yet despite being clothed, there is still a hint of eroticism, of sensuality being evoked by these women, which really is one of the overriding themes in this painting. The figure on the left has her breasts exposed, and the belly button of the figure on the right shows through the material of her fabric. Now you may notice that although her cheeks are nice and rosy, the skin hue of Bathsheba's body is very, very pale. It almost looks grey. In my opinion, Zucchi is imbuing her body with the colour of marble to evoke ancient classical sculptures of nude Greek and Roman goddesses, therefore enhancing a sense of beauty and perfection. To the left of the painting you will notice more nude women, some of whom are bathing. So Zucchi is portraying a large public bath whose waters extend all the way to the walls of the palace. In the background there is a fountain with a twisting cupid-like figure for decoration, whose pose echoes the serpentine form of the woman to the left. Now, the Old Testament doesn't say anything about Bathsheba being in the presence of other bathing women. So this is Zucchi's interpretation of the story. And I think that the presence of these nude bathing women is very deliberate. It is Zucchi's way of accentuating a sense of eroticism, as well as echoing and accenting Bathsheba herself. The woman semi-submerged in the water touches her breast, so she can almost be seen as enacting David's fantasy before our very eyes. To the left, we have a woman who faces away from the viewer. All we see is her nude backside. She, in a sense, can be seen as complementing the figure of Bathsheba herself, who only shows us the front of her body. The woman's twisting and dynamic pose complements the curve of Bathsheba's own figure, so they provide us, the viewer, with the likely look of Bathsheba's rear, thus giving us a full sense of her figure from every possible angle. Just to point out, this painting is Mannerist in style, and that can be seen in the serpentine pose of the figure to the left. This is an exaggerated and rather unusual pose, which pushes the limits of the human body for dramatic effect, and that was partly what Mannerism was about. Now, there is certainly a degree of movement in this painting, which can be seen, for example, in the ripples of the water. The servant carrying the tray appears to be rushing forward. In addition, there is a fabric peeking out from the water, which suggests that it has just slipped off one of the nude bathing women. Furthermore, the woman to the left looks like she's whipping off the drapery, which whirls around her body. There's a large fabric behind Bathsheba, which must have served as a partial cover, and you will also notice a pair of slippers near Bathsheba's feet. These two elements imply that she has just gotten undressed, or she is just about to get redressed. It's unclear which, but what I'm trying to get at is that this is not a static image. And yet, there is a sense of timelessness in Bathsheba's pose and in the sculptural quality of her body and skin, which renders her an eternal object of looking, the eternal subject of David's voyeuristic gaze. Zucchi's painting is full of really beautiful details. Look at the intricate hairstyles of the women. Notice Bathsheba's jewellery and the delicate hairpieces. Look also at the sandals of her ladies-in-waiting. They are very elaborate. Now, you may notice a mirror in the bottom right corner of the painting, which could be read as a symbol of vanity. You will also notice some flowers, which can be read as symbols of beauty. Now, there are also a few details which highlight the erotic undertones and the voyeurism present in this painting. Voyeurism, by the way, describes the pleasure and enjoyment gained from watching someone naked or in a sexual act. There is a very small winged cupid who forms the handle of another vessel visible just below Bathsheba's knees, and he could be seen as a nod to the theme of love. Additionally, at the feet of Bathsheba, there is a golden statue of a satyr, which forms part of her throne. In antiquity, satyrs were mythological figures that embodied creatures of lust and excessive sexual energy. In the Renaissance, they also came to symbolize vice. So this depiction of a satyr could be seen as a not so subtle nod towards David, and it's perhaps hinting at what is about to come next in the story. What I personally love about this painting is the way that Zucchi plays with the viewer and includes them in the theme of voyeurism. David is gazing voyeuristically upon Bathsheba, yet at the same time, her body faces towards the picture plane, and she is meant for the delectation of the viewer. Her naked body is on full display for us to admire, which we do. Then you have two of Bathsheba's servants who stare directly at us, the viewer. By acknowledging our presence so directly, they are challenging us and accusing us of also participating in the act of voyeurism. The fact that Bathsheba does not seem to be aware of our gaze makes us being caught out even more unsettling. The gaze of the servant who is furthest in the background is particularly intense and almost sinister. Zucchi is really challenging the viewer with these sightlines. I mean, I feel like I've just been caught red-handed. The woman to her left carrying the tray is gazing at us in a more light-hearted and flirtatious manner, almost as if she's enjoying the attention. And you have to consider that at that time, such paintings were primarily made for the delight and entertainment of male humanists. So although David occupies a very small part of the painting, the theme that he incites, namely voyeurism, is present all over the canvas. We, as the viewer, are made to feel like a voyeur, so we become part of the narrative. It even extends out of the confines of the painting and enters our world, the world of the viewer. Alright guys, so that brings us to the end of vlog number 3. I really hope you enjoyed learning about this painting. As always, if you have any questions, comments, requests, let me know in the comments down below. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for similar content. Don't forget to check out my Instagram page and my blog for more fast-paced content on art around the world. Now, just to let you know, next week we will be looking at art in a different country, so stay tuned to find out where we're going next. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.